That simple goodbye has a fascinating and much longer origin story. Centuries ago, the common farewell wasn't goodbye at all. People would say the longer, more formal blessing, "God be with ye." Over time, as language loves to do, this lengthy phrase got, well, shortened. It first became the slightly more manageable "God bye," and eventually, through everyday use, it was clipped down even further to the snappy goodbye we know and use all the time. A perfect example of language in action. Ever wonder why quarantine means what it does? It's not just about isolation. This word has a surprising historical link to medieval plagues. The journey begins in 14th century Venice. When ships arrived from plague-ridden areas, they weren't immediately allowed into port. Instead, they were forced to wait for 40 giorni. That's Italian for 40 days. This 40 days rule or quarantine was believed to be enough time to ensure no one on board was sick. So, the next time you hear quarantine, remember its surprising past, from 40 days to global health. Feeling a bit awkward sometimes? This common feeling has an ancient and surprising origin. The word awkward comes from Old Norse, specifically from ofuger and varder. Ofuger meant turned the wrong way, or backwards, and varder referred to a direction or way. So awkward literally meant turned in the wrong direction, like trying to use your left hand when you're right-handed. From physically clumsy to socially uncomfortable, awkward truly means everything is just a bit off-kilter. Ever felt like everything's going wrong? Like it's a total disaster? This word isn't just about bad luck. It actually comes from the stars. Our journey takes us back to ancient times, when people believed celestial bodies influenced human events. The word disaster traces its roots to Old Italian disastro, dis meaning bad or unfavorable, and astro meaning star. So a disaster literally meant bad star or ill-starred, a misfortune caused by an unfavorable planetary alignment. From cosmic bad luck to everyday chaos, disaster reminds us of a time when the heavens dictated our fate. Do you earn a salary? You might not realize your paycheck has a salty secret from ancient Rome. Long, long ago, salt was incredibly valuable. It wasn't just for seasoning food. It was essential for preserving food, for medicine, and even used as a form of currency. Roman soldiers and public officials were sometimes paid, at least in part, with allotments of salt. This payment was called salarium, directly from sal, the Latin word for salt. So, the next time you get your salary, remember its surprising connection to a vital, ancient commodity. A pinch of history in every payment. Ever refuse to buy something to make a point? Then you've participated in a boycott. But did you know this powerful word comes directly from one man's very bad reputation? Meet Captain Charles Boycott. In 1880, he was a land agent managing estates in Ireland. Times were tough. Tenants asked for reduced rents, but Captain Boycott refused. Angrily refused. So, the local community, led by the Irish Land League, decided to make his life impossible. They refused to work for him, shop with him, or even speak to him. They completely shunned him. This organized ostracism was so effective and widely reported that his surname, Boycott, became the new word for such collective refusal. From one unpopular agent to a global tool of protest, boycott is a name you won't forget. Ever had something go terribly wrong? A complete fiasco? You'd never guess this word's surprising past. It's all about making glass in Italy. Our story starts in Venice, Italy, home to exquisite glassmaking. Picture a master glassblower shaping molten glass, trying to create a beautiful, delicate bottle. But if the glass became flawed, or the shape distorted, it couldn't be a masterpiece. Instead, it would be turned into a fiasco, a simple, round, often squat flask or bottle. These fiaschi were common, cheap, and definitely not the artisan's best work. So when a grand project failed spectacularly, it was compared to making one of these basic, imperfect bottles. From a humble glass flask to a magnificent blunder, fiasco perfectly describes a spectacular failure. Looking for a clue to solve a mystery? This word has a truly tangled past, straight out of a Greek myth. Our journey begins with the legendary Minotaur, trapped in a labyrinth. How did anyone escape that maze? According to the myth, the hero Theseus used a ball of thread, given to him by Ariadne, to find his way back. That guiding thread, which showed the way through the confusing maze, was called a clue in Old English. So a clue literally meant a ball of yarn that helped you navigate a complex situation or find your way out of a puzzling place. From a magical thread in a labyrinth to a vital piece of evidence, clue still helps us untangle life's mysteries. Meet the robot, a staple of science fiction and modern industry. But this word didn't come from a lab or a sci-fi novel. It began on a stage, in a Czech play. In 1920, Czech writer Karel Čapek debuted his play R.U.R., Rossum's Universal Robots. The play introduced artificial beings created to work. Čapek needed a word for them. His brother Joseph suggested robota, a Slavic term meaning drudgery or forced labor. And just like that, robot was born, stepping from the stage into our vocabulary to describe these tireless, artificial workers. From a theatrical concept of forced labor to the sophisticated machines of today, the word robot has a surprisingly human origin. Ever called someone a Nimrod when they did something foolish? You're actually quoting the Bible, and not in a way you might expect. The original Nimrod appears in the book of Genesis. He's described as a mighty hunter before the Lord. A powerful, skilled, and legendary figure. So how did his name become a word for an idiot? Fast forward to the 20th century. The popular Looney Tunes cartoons often featured Bugs Bunny sarcastically calling Elmer Fudd Mighty Hunter, Mighty Nimrod. Because Elmer Fudd was, well, a terrible hunter, audiences associated the name Nimrod with incompetence and foolishness. From a biblical legend of power to a cartoon punchline, the word Nimrod proves language can take a very unexpected turn. Ever heard the term chauvinism? This word, often used to describe extreme patriotism or superiority, actually comes from a single legendary soldier. Meet Nicolas Chauvin, a soldier in Napoleon Bonaparte's army during the early 19th century. Chauvin was known for his almost absurdly zealous and unquestioning devotion to Napoleon and France. He was said to be ridiculously, even comically over the top in his loyalty, despite being wounded 17 times. His character became so famous, particularly in French plays and songs, that his surname, Chauvin, became synonymous with exaggerated blind patriotism and aggressive nationalism. From one famously fanatical soldier to a word describing arrogant superiority, chauvinism shows how a single person can shape our language. Look at a daisy. So simple, so cheerful. But this humble flower hides a beautiful poetic secret in its name. Our journey takes us back to Old English, the root of much of our modern language. The daisy was originally called Dage's Ege, literally meaning day's eye. Think about it. As the sun rises, the daisy's petals open just like an eye opening to the day. And when evening comes, the petals close again as if the day's eye is closing for the night. From a charming Old English description to the cheerful flower we know today, daisy is a perfect little poem in itself. Feel the muscle. But did you know this powerful word is actually named after a little mouse? Let's travel back to ancient Rome, where Latin was the language of the day. The Latin word for mouse ismus. And when Roman anatomists and philosophers observed muscles flexing under the skin, they thought the movement, especially of a bicep, resembled a tiny mouse scurrying beneath the surface. So they literally called it musculus, the diminutive form of mus, meaning little mouse. From a scurrying rodent to the strength in your arm, muscle is a surprisingly adorable word. Who is your companion? The answer might be, surprisingly, delicious. Let's journey back to Latin, the language of ancient Rome. The word for bread in Latin is panis. Now combine panis with cum, meaning with. And what do you get? Companies, literally, one who shares bread. In ancient times, sharing bread was a fundamental act of fellowship and bonding. So your companion is someone you share life's simple necessities with, a true partner, a bread-sharing friend. Feeling under the weather? Got the influenza? You won't believe this sickness was once blamed on the stars. Travel back to medieval Italy, a time when celestial movements were thought to control human fate. When mysterious illnesses swept through towns, people looked to the heavens for answers. They believed these outbreaks were caused by an influence, a powerful unseen force emanating from the stars or planets. So, the Italian word influenza was used, meaning influence or flow from the heavens, to describe these widespread epidemics. From a cosmic conspiracy to a common cold, influenza truly has a stellar origin story,